A sad, jobless single dad gave all his money to a poor, homeless beggar, unaware she is a billionaire. The rain had no mercy that evening. It fell hard and cold, soaking the broken streets and washing away what little warmth the city still had left. Under a flickering streetlight, a man stood frozen, clutching a thin plastic bag that held everything he had left in the world. His shoulders were slumped, his eyes hollow with exhaustion, and his breath trembled not just from the cold, but from the quiet fear of not knowing how he would make it through another night. This was the moment when his life, already shattered, was about to change forever, though he had no idea yet. If you believe that kindness still matters in a world that often feels cruel and unfair, take a second right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more stories about second chances in humanity. His name was Daniel. At 38, he looked far older. Life had carved deep lines into his face, lines formed by sleepless nights, unpaid bills, and the silent weight of responsibility. Just 6 months ago, he had a job at a small manufacturing company. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the rent and kept food on the table for his 7-year-old son, Noah. Then the factory shut down without warning. Severance promises turned into excuses, and excuses turned into silence. One missed paycheck became 2, then 3. Soon the eviction notice came, polite at first, then ruthless. Daniel's wife had left years earlier, choosing freedom over the struggle of building a life with a man who earned little and dreamed too quietly. Since then, Daniel had been both mother and father to Noah. Every decision he made was measured against one question: would this protect his son? Now, even that felt impossible. Noah was staying temporarily with Daniel's sister in another town, while Daniel searched for work and tried to rebuild. Every night alone felt like a personal failure. That evening, Daniel had just come from another job interview that ended the same way as all the others. Polite smiles, promises to call, no call. In his pocket were his last few bills, money meant to buy bread, milk, and maybe a cheap toy for Noah when he visited next week. It wasn't much, but it was all he had left. As he walked toward the subway entrance, he noticed a woman sitting on the wet pavement near the steps. She was wrapped in a thin, worn coat that offered little protection from the rain. Her hair was unkempt, her shoes torn, and her hands shook as she held a small cardboard sign asking for help. People passed her without slowing down. Some glanced briefly, then looked away. Others pretended she wasn't there at all. Daniel slowed. He told himself he couldn't stop. He told himself he had a child to think about. He told himself that giving anything away would be reckless. But his feet refused to move. There was something about her posture, not just poverty but dignity, bruised yet unbroken. Her eyes were downcast but not empty. They carried a strange calm, as if she had known both abundance and loss. Daniel reached into his pocket and felt the crumpled bills. His heart pounded as if he were about to jump off a cliff. He thought of Noah's smile, the way his son trusted him completely. He thought of the nights he had gone hungry as a child, and how one small act of kindness from a stranger had once kept him going. Slowly, almost painfully, he knelt and placed all the money into the woman's hand. Not some of it, all of it. He didn't wait for gratitude. He didn't expect anything in return. He simply nodded, stood up, and walked away before doubt could catch him. As he descended into the subway, hunger already gnawed at his stomach, but something else filled his chest, a quiet sense of peace that surprised him. What Daniel didn't know was that the woman he helped was not who she appeared to be. Her name was Eleanor Wright. To the world of finance and global business, she was a legend. Founder of a multinational investment firm, her net worth was measured in billions. For decades, she had lived surrounded by luxury, advisors, and people who wanted something from her. After the sudden death of her only daughter a year earlier, something inside Eleanor had broken. Wealth felt meaningless. Condolences felt hollow. People's smiles felt rehearsed. One day, without telling anyone, she left her penthouse, dressed in old clothes, and walked into the city streets. She wanted to see the world as it truly was, not as filtered through tinted windows and curated reports. She wanted to know if kindness still existed when there was nothing to gain. For weeks, she lived among the invisible, sleeping in shelters, sitting on sidewalks, watching humanity pass by. Most people ignored her, some mocked her. A few offered spare change without looking her in the eye. Then there was Daniel. Eleanor watched him disappear into the subway, her hand still closed around the money. She knew instantly that this gift had cost him everything. It wasn't generosity born from abundance, it was compassion born from pain. Tears mixed with the rain on her face as she realized she had just witnessed something rare and sacred. That night, Daniel slept on a bench in the subway station, stomach empty, body aching. Yet his dreams were strangely gentle. He dreamed of Noah laughing, of sunlight breaking through clouds, of a future that didn't feel so heavy. The next morning, he woke with a stiff back and a familiar knot of anxiety in his chest. Reality returned quickly. He needed work, he needed money, he needed hope. Days passed, rejections piled up. Daniel sold his phone to buy food. He skipped meals. He told himself it was temporary, that things would change, but each day chipped away at his confidence. Still, whenever doubt threatened to consume him, he remembered the woman's eyes and felt a quiet reassurance that his kindness had mattered, even if it changed nothing for him. One afternoon, Daniel received an unexpected call from an unknown number. He almost didn't answer, assuming it was another automated rejection. Instead, he was told that a private foundation had reviewed his background and wanted to meet him immediately regarding an employment opportunity. Confused but desperate, Daniel agreed. The building he was directed to was nothing like the places he was used to. Glass walls, polished floors, quiet confidence in every detail. Daniel felt out of place in his worn jacket, but he held his head high. He was led into a spacious office where a familiar pair of eyes met his. Eleanor stood there, no longer dressed in rags but in a simple, elegant suit. Recognition meant nothing to Daniel at first. Then memory struck him like a wave. The street, the rain, the cardboard sign. His breath caught as he realized who she was. Eleanor didn't rush. She allowed silence to settle, letting the weight of the moment speak for itself. She explained, without drama, who she was and why she had been living on the streets. She told him that his act of kindness had restored something she thought she had lost forever, faith in humanity. What followed felt unreal. Eleanor offered Daniel more than a job. She offered him stability, dignity, and purpose. A position within her foundation, focused on helping displaced workers and homeless families rebuild their lives. A fair salary, housing assistance, educational support for Noah. Not as charity, but as trust. Daniel struggled to process it all. Part of him waited for the catch, the condition, the fine print. But there was none. Eleanor made it clear that this wasn't payment for kindness. It was a partnership born from it. As weeks turned into months, Daniel's life transformed. He moved into a modest apartment near Noah's school. He cooked dinners again. He laughed again. He worked tirelessly, driven not by fear anymore, but by gratitude and purpose. He saw himself in the people the foundation helped and treated every case with the same compassion he had once shown a stranger on the street. Eleanor watched quietly as Daniel flourished. In helping him, she found a way to honor her daughter's memory, not through monuments or donations alone, but through lives changed one act at a time. Years later, Daniel would often think back to that rainy night. How close he had been to walking away, how easily fear could have won, and how one small choice, made when he had nothing, ended up giving him everything that mattered. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even the smallest act of kindness can ripple farther than we ever imagine, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Comment below with the word kindness, and share a moment when someone's compassion changed your life, even in a small way. Because in the end, it wasn't wealth that saved Daniel, and it wasn't charity that healed Eleanor. It was kindness, given freely without expectation, that quietly rewrote both their lives.